I wanna be your man. I wanna be your man.
Anyone who knows anything about music knows the Rolling Stones. Whether they admit it or not, this band has carved their name into rock history in a way that no one else ever has.
I saw her today at the reception.
Their riffs ooze danger, their lyrics drip with rebellion, and their concerts have been described as nothing less than the greatest show on earth.
I can't get no satisfaction.
But the story of the Rolling Stones isn't just about music. It's about survival, about excess, about love and betrayal, about friends turned rivals, and rivals turned legends. And it's about something even rarer, the ability to defy time itself. Before they became the self-proclaimed greatest rock and roll band in the world, they were just kids in post-war England. Grey skies, ration books, a country still recovering from the scars of World War II. Two young boys, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, grew up just miles apart, not yet knowing that fate was already lining them up for history. And then it happened. One day in 1961, on a crowded train platform, Mick and Keith bumped into each other. Keith noticed the records Mick was carrying, Where Blues imports from America, Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry, Little Richard. In that moment, a spark was lit. This wasn't just a meeting of two kids. It was the collision of two obsessions. Neither of them knew it yet, but rock and roll had just found its future. The Stones were born not out of polish, but out of hunger. With Brian Jones, brilliant, eccentric, and troubled, they had their first architect. He named the band after a Muddy Waters song, Rollin' Stone. They added Charlie Watts on drums, Bill Wyman on bass, and suddenly, London's smoky clubs trembled with a new kind of energy. But these weren't the Beatles. The Beatles smiled. The Stones sneered. The Beatles wore suits. The Stones wore the streets. And kids ate it up. Parents hated them, which, of course, made them irresistible.
By 1964, the Rolling Stones were at the forefront of the British invasion, storming America with I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Keith's riff, born by accident on a tape recorder in the middle of the night, became the battle cry of a generation. Mick's lips, Keith's riffs, Charlie's heartbeat. The Stones had arrived. But success came at a price, and behind the curtain, cracks were already forming. Brian Jones, once the leader, began to drown in the very excess the Stones represented. Drugs, alcohol, and paranoia pulled him further from the band's center. While Mick and Keith grew as the creative force, Brian drifted. By 1969, his life spiraled completely out of control. And then, tragedy struck. Just weeks after being fired from the band, Brian Jones was found dead in his swimming pool, 27 years old. Another soul lost to the dark side of rock and roll. The band was devastated, but there was no time to grieve. A new tour was booked, and in America, at the Altamont Free concert, tragedy struck again. The Stones thought they were playing their Woodstock. Instead, it became a nightmare. With the Hells Angels hired as security, violence erupted. During their performance, a young fan was stabbed to death right in front of the stage. Mick Jagger himself barely escaped harm. In that moment, the dream of the 60s died, and the Stones, like it or not, became its symbol. But out of darkness came fire. The early 70s were the Stones' golden era. Sticky Fingers, Exile on Main Street, albums soaked in blues, sweat, and decadence. Songs like Brown Sugar and Wild Horses showed a band that could be both raw and vulnerable. Yet, behind the music, chaos ruled. Keith Richards sank deeper into heroin addiction. Mick Jagger, ever ambitious, began craving more than music. He wanted celebrity, fame, power. And their friendship, their brotherhood, was tested like never before. The 70s rolled on like a blur of excess. Private jets, hotel room destruction, arrests for drugs, and concerts that felt like riots. And yet, the hits kept coming. The Stones weren't just surviving, they were thriving. When Mick Taylor, worn out by the chaos, walked away, Ronnie Wood stepped in, becoming Keith's partner in crime on guitar, the weaving style of their riffs giving the Stones a new, unstoppable energy. But by the 80s, the storm clouds returned. Punk rock exploded. MTV arrived, and suddenly, the Stones seemed like aging outlaws. Mick launched a solo career. Keith, furious, called him out. The feud was public, ugly, and it seemed like the end. But here's the thing about the Rolling Stones. Every time you think they're finished, they rise. By the end of the decade, Jagger and Richards reconciled, realizing the truth they couldn't escape. Without each other, there was no Rolling Stones.
The 90s, the 2000s, even the 2010s, the band defied all logic. Stadiums filled, generations passed, but the Stones remained. Charlie Watts, the quiet anchor, kept the chaos steady. Keith Richards impossibly survived everything. Heroin, arrests, car crashes, even falling out of a tree. Mick Jagger, with energy that seemed almost supernatural, continued to command stages like a man half his age. But time spares no one. In 2021, Charlie Watts passed away at the age of 80. For fans, it was like losing the soul of the Stones. The gentleman among rebels, the calm heartbeat in a band defined by storm. And yet, even then, the Stones did what they always do. They rolled on. With Steve Jordan on drums, handpicked by Charlie himself, they continued. And here's the twist no one expected. In their 80s, they're still not done. In 2023, they released Hackney Diamonds, a brand new album that critics hailed as a return to form. 6 decades into their career, the Stones are still writing, still performing, still proving that rock and roll doesn't die. It simply refuses to fade. From a train platform meeting between two kids to the biggest stadiums on Earth. From the death of Brian Jones to the loss of Charlie Watts. From heroin busts to multi-million-dollar tours. The Rolling Stones story isn't just long. It's impossible. They've outlived their critics, their rivals, and even their own demons. Their songs, Paint It Black, Gimme Shelter, Sympathy for the Devil, Start Me Up, are not just music. They're history, their rebellion, their survival. The Rolling Stones are more than a band. They are proof that rock and roll is not meant to be clean, or safe, or perfect. It's meant to be dangerous, and alive. And as long as Mick struts across the stage and Keith flashes that devilish grin with a guitar in his hands, the Stones will never stop. Because some legends don't fade away. They just keep rolling.